In 24 months since the pandemic struck in 2020, the wealth of the world's billionaires increased more than the combined growth of nearly 2 preceding years. Some 573 new billionaires have been added in the last 2 years. Corporations in the energy, food, and pharmaceutical sectors, the 3 sectors in which the world faces crisis, have recorded the maximum profits in their lifetimes. There are 62 new billionaires in the food sector. For the billionaires in the food and energy sectors, the last 2 years have been a bonanza, a wealth increase of $1 billion every 2 days.
Consumer prices jumped 7.5% compared to a year ago, the steepest annual increase since February 1982.
So, concentration of wealth in the hands of the few isn't going away. Yes, the nuances might be changing, the figure may be changing, but fundamentally the reality is that the concentration of wealth is unconscionably extremely high, which should not be the case.
The top 5 energy companies, BP, Shell, Total Energies, Exxon, and Chevron, made a daily profit of $2,600 every second as the world remained under lockdowns and extreme economic stress. The pandemic has also created 40 new pharmaceutical billionaires. Pharmaceutical corporations like Moderna and Pfizer are making $1,000 profit every second just from their monopoly control of the COVID-19 vaccine. All this and more have been stated in the Oxfam International report titled Profiting from Pain. The non-profit Oxfam International released its Wealth Generation and Distribution report just prior to the World Economic Forum annual meeting in Davos. Analyzing wealth creation in the last 2 years, the pandemic period, Oxfam International found that every crisis that has struck this planet has hugely profited certain people, while hitting harder the already poor and pushing those in the margins to poverty trap. High food prices, health cost, loss of livelihood, and the overall dip in earnings will push at least 263 million into poverty in 2022. That is at a rate of 1 million people every 33 hours. Wages in the 3 sectors that profited the most have not increased at all. The burden of the crisis is felt by the poor and the people in the margin. To put it in perspective, the inequality is beyond comprehension, and it has deepened during the pandemic like never before. For instance, according to Oxfam International, the top 10 richest persons in the world have more wealth than that of 3.1 billion people combined, or the total income of the bottom 40% of humanity. The poor will never be able to reach the yearly earnings of the rich in their lifetime. Oxfam's calculation showed that it would take 112 years for a worker in the bottom 50% to earn what a person in the top 1% gets in a single year.
This year's report talks about 3 asks. One is taxation on the excess profits made by the largest corporations, especially at the time of the pandemic. In fact, Oxfam International has called for a 90% tax on excess profits made by industries. Through the process, one could generate almost $104 billion worth of revenue. Secondly, have a solidarity tax on new billionaire wealth. It's about making sure billionaires bear their true fair share of the taxation which the rest of us pay. Lastly, it's not just the pandemic, we need a permanent wealth tax on the richest.
Why the poor become poorer is no more the question. Rather, why the rich get richer and also so fast is the question. Last year, the World Inequality Report 2022 termed India as the most unequal country. Lucas Chancel, the lead author of the World Inequality Report 2022, said over 50% of India's population are without any significant wealth at all. He put this at the core of widening inequality in the country. An Indian earning a monthly wage of Rs 25,000 is among the top 10% of earners in the country. If an amount like this comes in the top 10 percentile, then the bottommost condition cannot be imagined.